The third and final part of declaring your direction in life is to take a card that you have in front of you and to write on it what you found out in step 2, that one thing you really want to do. And if you finish step 1 and step 2, then you can do that right now. Or, if you want, you can just continue listening to me. This final step is where everything comes together. In a sense, it's the simplest because you've already done all the work. You finally got to that part where you've got everything narrowed down, step 2, to one thing. That's your number one thing. That's what you're interested in. That's what you're excited about. So obviously, you want to keep track of it. You want to write it down. You want to make sure you remember that. So in that sense, it's the simplest part. And maybe you might think you just forget about that. I know what I want to do. And a lot of people do this. I know what I want to do. I don't need to write stuff down. That's just silly. There's no point to doing that. I got all this stuff. I figured out what I want to do. I'll just go ahead and do it. I don't need some stupid card to help me out. And I understand that. When it was explained to me by my friend, I thought the same way. Remember earlier I did mention there's a magic in writing things down. When you write things down, it tells our brain this is important. When you write things down, it tells our brain this really is something we need to focus on. And, as you've heard, I've done this whole process myself, and I've come down with what I want to do in life. And therefore, you might suspect that I've got a card with things written down on it. And in fact, I do. I have this card that I carry around with me. And on it, it has what I got through this process. And the card says, I'm presenting to groups of all sizes, bringing life-enabling awareness. I did this exercise several years ago. During that time, I wasn't too involved in public speaking. I did a little bit of public speaking. I had some things around Toastmasters. I wasn't heavily into it. I hadn't really fully committed to it. I knew it was something I wanted to do. I just didn't think of it as being that important. When I got to the exercise and I understood that it was something I really wanted to do, and I wrote it down, things started happening after that. A couple years ago, I started putting a public speaking program onto Cable Access Network. And that's now, I do that now every month, and it's shown to everyone in Chicago. I've got a speaker's blog where I go through and detail out all the different things that public speakers should be doing and should be aware of. And that started about the time that I wrote this down. I've been going to different orientation sessions at Deloitte, where I work, and telling them about Toastmasters, about the importance of public speaking. And all these things happened after the time when I actually wrote something down, carried it around, and made it a promise. There is magic in writing things down. We think so much we can just do it in our head. But remember what I said earlier. If we just keep things in our head, it changes all the time. A new idea comes along and bam, back of our head. New idea, bam, back of our head. You can go through this entire process, figure out exactly what you want to do in life, and a week later you're thinking, yeah, I don't have time to do that. I'm really not interested to do that. It's not really that important. Or, what the heck was I thinking about? It's craziness. You can't possibly do that. And all that happens because we haven't really fixed it in our head. So when we write something down, something like this, magic can happen. Everything can come together. And if you notice in the back is my club, Extreme Toastmasters. So if you do happen to decide you want to do public speaking, Toastmasters is something to think about. So what do you want to do? What's your process? the thing you really want to do. And if you haven't been writing these things down, haven't gone through this, think about doing it. Because things won't change until you make them change. And that's the most important thing to learn. The third, final step, clearing your direction.